Hi, I'm Simon.
And I'm Martina.
And we're from EatYourKimchi.com.
And you are watching
the AU Review.
Yeah.
There are a few. I think the major one is to us, because K-pop has started getting so very popular. It seems like there's like a bubble now for K-pop. There's so much inflation. There's pretty much, by the time I finish this sentence, 3 more K-pop bands will have emerged.
It's just like a rookie fungus is occurring right now.
It's everyone's trying to get in on this K-pop scene. There's just so many new bands coming out all the time. So many that have failed. Even if you think about last year, how many of the new bands have
The problem
failed?
is the oversaturation of rookie groups means that other groups who would normally put out like an album a year are being pressured into making more albums and more appearances, because if they don't show up, then these rookie groups will take the place of them. And then what if they lose their fan group because the fan group's interested in the rookie group instead? So now everyone's going into like hyper oversaturation mode, you know? And I really feel like a lot of the rookie groups aren't even prepared to be K-pop bands. Like the videos are messy and sloppy. And I mean, maybe because we've been watching K-pop for so long.
We're so engrossed in the K-pop culture.
Yeah, but to us, it's like, it doesn't feel the same as rookie groups a couple years ago that were coming out with like really quality material. So we're hoping that people will stop thinking of this as a trend and just start thinking of it again as K-pop music.
My main concern is that I feel like a lot of K-pop companies are viewing K-pop not as like a means to express themselves musically, but they're like, well, a lot of people are interested in K-pop, so it'll be financially profitable if we jump on board and come up with our own band. And it just seems like there's just so much lately.
You can smell the insincerity.
Yes, sometimes.
Oh, it's a tough question.
We have a few favorites.
Okay, so when we say favorites, because I think that almost every K-pop group has come out with something that we've loved. I'm trying to think of favorites as people that have like multiple songs that I love.
Well, when it comes to like consistency, like we are always very happy with the YG label. So we love BIGBANG stuff. We love 21 stuff.
Yeah, we love Psy.
We love Psy stuff. Psy but he's not K-pop. He's on a whole other world.
The Psy
right now.
realm.
Yes, he's in the Psy realm.
Brown Eyed Girls.
Brown Eyed Girls.
They've never disappointed us.
SHINee, except for their last song, which we didn't like. Otherwise, are like monstrously amazing.
We think that SHINee are the best dancers out there right now. Second place would be Infinite.
Right.
Love Infinite. Did not like their last single, but loved everything before that, and they're phenomenal dancers. We also like uKISS.
uKISS, yeah, we're big fans of as well.
And I'm trying to think of other people that. Oh, Orange Caramel.
Boom shakalaka.
So underrated.
Oh yes. And T-ara.
Yes.
There's this whole world of like early 20-year-old girls that form these like really funky disco
like
club
college
songs,
dancing.
Like Dal Shabet, Orange Caramel, and T-ara make some of the most funktastic K-pop music out there. It's great stuff.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be.
It's not that popular.
Yeah, I don't know why. So we have some kind of theory about this. Maybe it's not right, but essentially, having had taught in Korea for a bit, we had a chance to be in the high school classroom and middle school setting. And what we realized was music, which was a huge part of our upbringing in high school, music determined kind of the crowd that you were a part of. So in North America, if you liked rap music, you hung out with people that liked rap music.
They dressed the hip-hop way. They had like hip-hop culture. And if you liked rock music, then you would dress rock and you would follow rock culture.
And you could pick people out according from just their clothing. Even if you were wearing uniforms, you knew one person liked a certain type of music and you didn't really mingle. But in Korea, if you have a classroom of almost 40 students, almost every single student liked K-pop, even in high school. So it was like there wasn't this divide of musical groups. So what we think is happening is that K-pop is becoming its own like subculture in different parts of the world, where if you don't like listening to rock music or hip-hop, which is kind of difficult to get into,
but you know, and you want to try to get into like another kind of music, like if you want to get into something like heavy metal, that's not very accessible for a lot of people, while K-pop on the other hand is very accessible. It still sounds like pop music. It's very colorful, it's very flashy, it's got very good looking people. It's a very accessible kind of underground music for people in Western worlds.
But it's not Justin Bieber. It's not One Direction. It's not Lady Gaga. It's not Katy Perry. But it's still pop music.
And
so
it still has all that appeal of pop music.
So we find that people are starting to form their own little groups of like, oh, you like pop music and you like metal. Oh, I like K-pop. oh, you don't understand what this kind of music is like. You don't know SHINee. That's okay. Don't worry. So it's almost like its own private group with private groups online that get to know each other. So it's like a subculture.
I've actually even heard some people say something really interesting in that some people really like pop music and are interested in it, but sometimes they're really bored with how trite the lyrics are. And the thing that they like about K-pop is that they can listen to pop music without being distracted by the stupidity of lyrics because they can't understand what they're saying in Korean. So it's like pop music, but you're not bothered by how dumb the lyrics are.
It's like a focus on the sound, really, and like the showmanship almost.
I found that very fascinating that people say that sometimes.
Yeah. We have actually a pretty different explanation when it comes to K-pop and popularity for our channel because we do have like 6 segments a week.
Yeah.
Monday is the only time we do K-pop where we review K-pop. And on Saturday, we talk about like the most recent K-pop song that came out.
Right.
But between that, we do food adventures and we ask questions that people ask us.
We do question and answer.
We do an indie segment.
Chats, we do indie segments. So.
And we actually get a lot of views, sometimes more views on those videos than our K-pop segments.
So we're more famous for our K-pop segments and our K-pop interviews, but they don't necessarily get the most views out of our regular videos. So we know that K-pop is a part of the Eat Your Kimchi identity, but it isn't the only part of our Eat Your Kimchi identity. So I know that there are different groups of people that come to us for different things. So some people come to us just for K-pop, some people come to us just for our TLDR segments, and others come just for our food segments. So we're trying to appeal to a lot of different groups of people and not just put all of our eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And now one thing I will say though is that when it comes to K-pop, we're one of the few bloggers out there in the K-pop world that are willing to state their honest opinion. While I feel like a lot of the other places out there might just be like a gossip site or kind of like a fan thing, like, oh my god, Oppa came out with an album and oh my god, they're so dreamy.
This video was unleashed.
It was amazing. Everyone looked amazing, but they don't really ever criticize it.
And so they don't have any insights into anything apart from just fawning over people.
Yeah, so I think when it comes to our K-pop segments, we are one of the few places online that will offer an honest opinion, and although some people may not like it, I do think that's appealing to other people who are like-minded to us.
And not only just honest opinions, but just the possibility of discussion. Like, a lot of people don't agree with what we say, but at least we foster an environment in which people can discuss with people, and that's something that we don't really see in a lot of communities.
It needs to happen.
It's very difficult for us. We do have a lot of things. We know that, like, when people, I know when the K-pop industry here is thinking about, you know, breaking through to North America and becoming like the next big thing. That's a very difficult thing to say because pop music in other parts of the world isn't necessarily a reflection of what's good music or what's the best of that specific country. Pop music is more a reflection of a mindset of that specific country. So it's the same reason why, like, here in Korea, like, Justin Bieber isn't huge and Lady Gaga isn't huge. It's not because they're not good musicians or they're not popular. It's just they don't necessarily reflect Korean mentality in their style of music.
And everyone in Korea knows Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga, but you're not going to see them on a billboard and you're not going to hear them on the radio. You're only going to hear them at like a club.
Because they don't speak to Korean sensibilities. And I think that K-pop, because it has its own like distinct cultural identity, for it to speak to Western sensibilities, it would have to lose a lot of its Korean identity. And as a result, it might not be K-pop at the same time.
So for us, we feel like on one side of the coin, people could make it in North America, but would they make it as a K-pop band? I think that would be pretty tough. I think they'd have to appeal to the North American audience and lose that K-pop side. Do we think that a lot of K-pop bands have already made it in North America? Absolutely. We think that they've made it. They just haven't made it in the way that the K-pop labels want, like, you know, on MTV, on the TV shows.
Everybody and their mom to know who Girls' Generation are, and I want grandfathers to listen to Infinite.
Yeah,
you know,
we think the fact that they already have so many fans dedicated to them all over the world means that they've made it. But the idea is they want like a #1 on the radio airwaves. So
there's this mentality of this black and white mentality. It's like you're either universally known or you fail. But like with the world of the internet, there's so much gray area in between that there are like different levels of success. You can't necessarily say that it's either or. Like, we think that a lot of K-pop bands are somewhere comfortably in between.
So I think so far, okay, when it came to fun, like a really fun interview, uBEAT was awesome because
they were hilarious.
Yeah, we're really comfortable with like UKIS in general, and Kevin, Eli, and AJ are really they're really refreshing to be with. They say things, they speak out loud. We were
just laughing the entire time. It didn't feel like an interview of us like us asking them questions and then giving answers. They're just like a conversation, us joking back and forth.
Yeah, so it was a really good atmosphere. And I think when it came to like really intriguing interview was definitely MFBTY or MFBTY.
MFBTY.
We had to really narrow that interview down to like a small time frame because they had so much stuff to talk about because they've been in the scene for so long. So they talked about like their experiences as underground artists and their experience with underground artists now, even though they're popular and like all the problems they faced. There was so much that we learned about with them.
They were in this very interesting position of like being deep in the industry and yet being outside of the industry at the same time. And they provided a wealth of insights, and it was just so fascinating speaking with them.